mean you don't have access to my entire life already as it is? So, okay. Here I am.
I had to like restart my computer. I'm like, I don't know what's going on today, but I'm just, we gotta get started. We can't just hold people just, waiting for us to come on here.
I know. It was like, what am I gonna do? So sorry for making folks wait.
You look gorgeous.
Thank you, ma'am. I was like, let me get this 15-minute beat after I put the kids to nap. I was like, if y'all don't get in this bed, mommy has to do an interview. So I'm gonna need you to cooperate, okay? But, so finally.
My daughter was doing virtual school for like the last 2 hours. I said, are you done? Can I get my laptop back?
Right.
Whew, so I was just explaining to them how I got into barbershop and before you came on. So I'm going to continue a little bit with that. I'm going to see if I can also record us at the same time. I'll do this. Yeah. Can't record screen during calls. So they're taking Instagram as a call right now. This is crazy. This better save. Instagram, you can save this video of all this grand knowledge we're about to throw out here, okay?
Is grand.
So I was just saying, I got into barbershop when I was in high school. When I was 15 years old, they had like 2 groups. They had 2 male groups, 2 female groups, and they were having auditions. And my mom was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. You've got to audition. And I was like, no. No.
Oh my goodness.
And she's like, wait, you just shut it down? You're not going to think about it? I'm like, I don't think that's me. I don't think I can do it. I was like, I don't see anybody that looks like me, so I don't know if they're going to take me. And she said, no. Yeah. I was like, so she was like, no. Do it. She said, audition, see what happens. She said, it might be something you end up loving to do. So I said, all right, fine.
You're like, thanks, Mom.
Fine.
Or whatever. Yeah.
Right. I know it was going to be like part of my life forever. But I auditioned, I got in, and I was like, But I wasn't in the organization yet. It was just school. So they would take us to BHS's youth adjudications, and we would do that. And then we would go to Sweet Adeline's IAS, which is one of their educational symposiums. So we would go to that, and we would do their Rising Star contest, and we would compete. So that was another good thing about it. Got to sing, learn, compete, get adjudicated. They gave you some feedback on the spot. So that was great, and that was fun. But once I left high school, I stopped. But then when I went to college, we both went to Morgan State. We're both Morganites, MSU, you know. So, that all goes away. Like, I wasn't thinking about barbershop. But once, like 5 years after, once I was done with school, my music teacher reached back out to me and said, hey, there's this group. They're called Whole Lotta Harmony, and they're looking for a bass. And I said, okay, sure. I'll try it. I'll try them out, see how we sound. Sounded awesome. I was hooked and became Sweet Adeline member. It was just like, all right, let's go. Yep. So that's when I got into it. I've been doing it for the last few years, competing, all types of stuff. So I wanted to bring Shana on to talk about her life experiences with barbershop, because she's in Harmony Inc. organization, and she's a queen. Hey, yes, she's got the bling bling. She's a queen. She's a queen in the organization. And you also have experiences with Miss Maryland, and you competed with not only just in the aspect of what they do for like your views on everything, but you also had a talent portion of that too, right? For Miss Maryland?
Yep.
So you had to go through that, and I just wanted you to like share all your experiences from barbershop, how you got into it. Halo Quartet is huge right now. Barbershop Harmony's loving you guys and eating you up, along with Harmony Inc. and your race and real talk. So I just want you to talk about all about that. How did you get into the world of barbershop? Like, what made you start? Who came to you and said, girl, you got to come on, get on this bandwagon, let's go?
Yeah, all the things. So my journey with barbershop started when I was in the music therapy program at Shenandoah Conservatory with Richard Llewellyn. We were in the same class for like essentially a bachelor's equivalency, but it was a certificate through that program. So it was after I had graduated from Morgan.
Okay.
And it was an interesting transition because right after graduation, like I had some opportunities lined up, like with Lyric Opera Baltimore, and I can't even honestly remember the name of some arts organization based in Virginia. And I was going to be like an arts coordinator because I had some experience interning with the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra. And so I was like going to try to merge arts admin and performance and like make that a thing. And then 2008, the stock market crashed and everything was like gone. It was like, oh, we don't have the money, or this production is canceled, and so on and so forth. And so I was in this gap of life where I was like, well, I don't like this in between of not doing anything and just looking for something to come my way or like somebody to accept me again. And I want to be consistently engaged in what I feel is my vocation, to use music and my singing to connect with others and to help others connect with one another. And so then that led me to music therapy. And so I was in this program at Shenandoah, and Richard, Richard Llewellyn, lots of people know his name. He's a big name barbershopper, was a silver medalist with his quartet Riptide, and has directed many choruses and done all the things. He's a big deal. And I had no idea about this, but every now and then he'd say blah, 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 barbershop, blah, 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 barbershop in class. And he invited the other master students to a little party at his house. And Chris Llewellyn, his wife, can tell you this story better than I can, because I kind of only remember wine and cheese and you want to sing. And I was like, yeah. And they were like, there will be crowns. And I was like, cool. I like those things. Wine, cheese, and glam. Like, you know, I can get with that. So I feel like it was at least a good 6 months after like getting on with them before I even knew what was going on, because so I had gone to like, you know, the get together, and she said, hey, you know, I'm forming a quartet and we're having auditions, something. And I was like, okay. And first I was like, oh, well, I'll try tenor because I'm a soprano. And I'm thinking, okay, sing high. She's like, Taiken, that's my part. And I was like, well, I mean, and so I tried lead a little bit. And like, because my mid-range and mix is a bit more on the mellow side, and she's like, if you've heard Epic, and you know, like she's a big voice tenor, and the baritone that they had like hooked up, they had those two parts covered. She was also a big, strong voice, so I wasn't like really cutting on lead. And then I was like, well, I mean, I used to do a pretty mean Don Quixote impression, so I guess I could try bass. And so then like we did the theme tag, and it was like, so yeah, you're gonna sing bass. And I was like, really, is that you? And they were like, oh my gosh, that's like the sexiest part in barbershop for men and women. I was like, okay.
I have to say, when I saw you sing bass for the first time, I said, who is this person? Because I knew you as a soprano. So I was just like, how you go from soprano to bass? I'm like,
I mean, all this time I thought that was my stupid trick that I wasn't going to be able to do anything with, and lo and behold, I've got high heels and low notes, so it was really cool.
Yes.
And so, you know, we had our journey, and because Richard, you know, married to Chris, so we had this constant, really super high level coaching at our disposal all the time, which again at the time was not something that I appreciated or recognized. I didn't know what was going on. I was just like, oh, this is cool. He's telling us what to do and we're doing it, and it's neat. And we got like, you know, lots of gigs and we get around. And then because of all of our practice, great, super high level coaching and the gigs that we got to do, we were super, you know, polished come competition time. And then because of all of our practice, great, super high level coaching and the gigs that we got to do, we were super, you know, polished come competition time. And so we won our first year out, both at area and at international. So that was really cool.
I'm going to post a video of Epic after this. Y'all just don't know.
Yeah, right.
And y'all wore some hot outfits too. Like,
Yes.
Especially that Cruella de Vil outfit that you guys had with the pink layer at the bottom and the leopard print. Like, I don't see everybody wearing stuff like that. That's hot.
Yeah,
Not everybody
were
can be
fine.
ready.
We were cute with it. Chris Llewellyn outfitted us all the time, so we had her to come. And so then when we won, we were invited to lots of events, barbershop and otherwise. And on one of our road trips, I think we were either going up or coming back from Watertown because Chris's father, who got gold medalist with his quartet in the senior division that same year that we won. So it was pretty cool. They were doing a show and we were on the show. And on our way back, there was like a message apparently on our page from someone who was saying like, oh, it was really great to see the picture of Epic in the harmonizer, because if it weren't for that, there wouldn't have been any people of color in that entire magazine. And I keep trying to tell my students, this was Priscilla, her name's Ron now. And, we worked together with Halo, and she was saying like, it's really important that like, they get to see this, because they, like you described, Ashley, they were like, I don't see nobody look like me. I ain't going to that.
Yes.
I'm not trying to, okay, not today. Like, hey, look, I'm telling you, they're in there.
Right. I'm like, I'm doing it.
Yeah. And so this is where you come in, because I was actually joking. I was like, we should make an all-black female quartet and be the first ones. And she's like, let's do it. And I was like, oh, okay. And so then, and somewhere along the way, I learned that you were a barbershop, and I was like, really? So I called you up, and you were like, okay. And so that's how like Halo kind of got started, like by accident. And then, fast forward all these things. It was such like a really, the whole thing, even up like to this very day, it's been an incredible journey and learning experience, because there were so many things that I didn't recognize went into not just starting, but maintaining a quartet.
Yes.
Like everything that goes into, because we know this, it's not enough to be a really good singer. Barbershop singing is an entirely different skill from which sometimes if you are used to singing as a soloist and you are really good at it, that's sometimes more of a hindrance than a help. You have to learn to make your voice work and unite with other people, because you're trying to create a whole nother voice, a big
voice of 4 people all together as one big sound. Exactly. Just like this is one band, one sound, same thing concept.
Yep.
But it's a whole different skill level. Mm-hmm. I feel like, being a part of Barbershop and Sweet Adelines, it's really up to my musical skills, especially my ear, because you have to train your ear to hear what the judges are supposed to be hearing, and you want to make sure you hear the same thing, Yeah. So absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So
being a part of Barbershop and Sweet Adelines, it's really up to my musical skills, especially my ear, because you have to train your ear to hear what the judges are supposed to be hearing, and you want to make sure you hear the same thing,
Yeah.
So absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So it was just a whole nother ball game that like went up, down, in and out, and so many things into it. And then finally it has settled into a solid foursome that we took to contest at Harmony Inc. And, we broke down this barrier. We were officially in 2015 the first quartet of African-American singers to compete on the barbershop stage. And when we did this, it was kind of like this, it was a mixed experience, because it was like, on the one hand, it felt a little bit like we weren't quite noticed or cared at the time. Mm-hmm. But for us, we were like, no, we just did kind of an important thing.
I'm emotional to think about it, because that's huge.
Yeah, and actually one of the things that propelled us and affirmed this sense that we had collectively that no, this was important, was David and Sandy Wright. They approached us after like the semifinals portion, and they were like, no, what you did was really important. That was a big deal. And you know, we had talked, and that's how we made our connection, and they've helped us out tremendously through coaching. David had gifted us an arrangement of Black and Blue, and we've been over there, and so they feel like family to us now. But it was very much what they said to us and them having approached us in that time that affirmed the vision that burst forth from us then, which was Race and Real Talk. And we were talking about, and we were just looking at this thing like, you know, this is a bigger thing than just us, because not only, because the significance of this is not just like, oh, first Black whatever, which to a lot of people can start sounding tongue-in-cheek and lose its meaning. Like, okay, well, great, you were first Black, nice job, but it doesn't mean anything. But it does mean something, because we knew, this was a little bit before the conversation about Barbershop's roots in African-American music was as much mainstream, but we recognized it. I recognized it when I came in through Epic, and I would, like, you know, try to speak to my experience and sense of connection with the music, and people would be like, oh no, like, that's different. And I was like, okay.
Because jazz and barbershop, if you think about it, go hand in hand, y'all.
I mean, if you think about it, if you read about it, if you study it, like, it's kind of like recognizing an earlier dialect of your own language. It's like, oh, like if you read Old English, like some of it might sound weird or different and things that we don't necessarily express in that way anymore, but it's like, no, that's English. I know that language, and this is not nearly so far removed as Old English. Yes, I know this language basically. There are some different idioms that have come about maybe, but I know this is part of me. And you know, we were looking at that and saying, isn't it interesting how this is sort of a mirror of America's identity and history, where we're still working really hard to move past the centuries, decades in barbershop, centuries in this country of oppression, marginalization, exploitation, appropriation. And in many ways, we have come so far, but in many ways, we see that a lot of things remain the same. You know, keeping it real, even what's currently at the forefront of social media, the fake shooting, that, you know, you look at that and say, like, it's a modern day lynching. What's the question? But just seeing that there's so much baggage in that history that has not been healed and dealt with from all sides, from all perspectives. And so this whole thing came up of like, look at that reflection. And then we looked deeper into the music and this metaphor of what it means for different perspectives to come with the desire to sound like one voice. And it was like, you know, racism is, even though we all experience it from different realities and perspectives, it's a shared truth in a way that's different from other issues of social justice. Like, it's a bit different from misogyny. There are some similarities, but just the fact that it's all of our story to tell is a unique thing, and there's a unique story. I mean, it's existent in many different ways. Xenophobia, racism, tribalism in all forms is universal throughout humanity. But America's story of racism is very specific. And our journey to healing that also should be very specific. And Barbershop being rooted in African-American singing and music traditions, and essentially being one of the elements of what we know as American music today, period, is this beautiful tool to teach us, okay, let's embrace this shared truth. The tension in barbershop singing is where the beauty is. You know, we love, especially in a ballad, to pull on those seventh chords and really lean into those dissonances. They're beautiful. And you know, so we talk about like, well, in conversation, wouldn't it be nice to be able to experience that tension as a beautiful thing? Maybe Barbershop can teach us that. And so I'm, you know, a music therapist. I went through the program. I'm also pursuing my master's. My sister, she's a licensed clinical social worker. And so with our powers combined, we were like, let's do this thing.
Oh, fierce
and
together.
So it's been a continued journey, and it started with one like pilot program in 2017 in a church that was, the program was open to everybody, and it did draw people from as far as way out in Virginia to sessions. And it started with that. And today we've been as far as Nashville, working with both BHS and National Museum of African American Music. And we're also, in addition to like that expansion of outreach, we're building community in like, you know, this Maryland space, because it's about being able to build trusting relationships that incline us to invest the energy, the emotional and mental energy that it takes to really work through these conversations. So
now I had the pleasure of stepping in and singing bass with you guys with Halo for one of your Race and Real talks at a couple of times. It's a joy to sing with you guys, first of all. But when I first saw it, when you did it in Virginia, in Loudoun County, it was for the Board of Education. Is that what it was?
It was Loudoun County Public Schools, and their, I can't, it was like, I can't remember the acronym for them, but it was basically about minority scholastic achievement.
Okay.
The committee for that, yes.
But the way you break down each voice part during Race and Real Talk and the comparisons between the two of Barbershop and, like you said, the chords and the tension and all of that, I was amazed. I was really amazed. I was like, wow. I was like, I need to keep coming to these classes. Because it was beautiful to see how you were touching some of the parents that were sitting in the audience, because I was just watching their body language, especially for parents who have kids who are biracial. It was a big, huge thing for them to get up and speak about their experiences with school, what their kids are dealing with, and then to watch you put different perspectives of different concepts that can happen in school with students to Barbershop. I was like, wow, this is just fascinating. I would have never thought to put both of those things together, and it's really fascinating what you guys are doing, and I love that you're getting it out there and you're bringing people awareness to racism in music. Like it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Thank you. We love having you sing with us. We can't wait till the next time you get to it. It's gonna be awesome.
Let me know when this is all over.
Yeah, you know, and in fact, you know, right now, because we have a project coming up that we had slated to start with the fall, and there's going to be a collaboration with, like, you know, based with two different congregations, but open to the broader community.
Okay.
Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Rockville. That is always a mouthful for me. I can't say, but of Rockville, they're a predominantly white congregation, and they're active in wanting to be intentionally inclusive, and you know, they're struggling with seeing that manifest in their congregation. And wow. Open Church of Maryland in Baltimore, they're a predominantly Black congregation, and also strive for diversity and inclusion, and experience, you know, the same challenges. And you know, there's the saying that, you know, Sunday is the most segregated day of the week in the United States, something to that effect. And so we're talking about, like, you know, making this work when it's most likely going to have to be virtual. I lost my train of thought, but yeah, we've seen these discussions that have said, like, it could be a really long time before it's safe for people to sing together, like in the same actual space. And while at first that's initially sad and scary, because it's like, well, what does that mean for us? But then we were talking about it and looking at, well, this could also be an opportunity, because even while we do intend to still keep it a safe space with people who are really invested in building relationships and having healthy dialogue, with everybody doing so much engagement, having to engage virtually like we are now, it's like, well, this could mean that we could reach so many more people.
Yes,
And from so many
absolutely.
like different distances, and like community is having a different meaning now. It's not as much about physical proximity. And then once, you know, we are out of these woods, then it's like the investments that we can make into entering into one another's physical spaces is a cherished privilege to be able to enjoy. And so hopefully it'll be something that we can do all the more with more people aware of and participating in this kind of conversation and dialogue.
We're
So
going to talk about that after this. We're going to talk about that.
yeah, let's talk.
This can happen. This can happen.
Yeah, exactly.
That'll be amazing. Yeah, because once you, I mean, I can just see you ladies doing like a huge like Zoom in different places for different states rather, and even if you had those conversations in your programming and teaching them about the different concepts between the two, then once this is all over, hey, we can come visit you and have a more one-on-one interaction with you. I think that's something we need to talk about.
Yeah, exactly.
We can help you with that.
So yeah, we're just really excited, and I'm and you know, you and I can talk even more like, you know, off the record about like, you know, some ideas about what it can mean. I don't know how much virtual singing have you done, like in collaborating with ensembles and things like that?
I haven't had a lot of collaboration with ensembles, but I have been doing voice lessons virtually. I've been doing that through Google Meeting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've had some of that too.
So some people were a little leery about Zoom in the beginning, but I've been doing it that way. But I've also, and why I wanted to bring you on and get more people to know about barbershop is because I'm doing youth programs that are incorporating harmony and barbershop as well. So, you know, this is a great way for people to learn about the culture of barbershop, a great way for them to learn about the different organizations of what it brings to it, what you can learn from it, what you can gain from it, because I want to bring that to aspiring youth artists. So that's my thing right now, because I'm going to have a summer program, and I'm calling it YOLO Harmony Camp. You only live once, y'all.
I love it. Oh,
yeah.
Actually, I can't.
We gonna
talk to you about something off the record because, like, I've also, girl.
That's why I sent you that message like last month. Like, what y'all doing? Yep. So let's dig into Maryland, Miss Maryland. What made you decide to do that?
I wanted scholarship money. I mean, no, since I was little, I was that kid in front of the TV every September, like doing the walk and watching the Miss America pageant. That's where I learned the song "Papa, Can You Hear Me?" I was
wait. Wait a minute. Did you say "Papa, Can You Hear Me"?
Yeah.
Papa, can
you hear me? I was singing, honey, with my Barbies. I was like, this is me. Okay. Take it or leave it. But, so I always knew about it and I enjoyed watching it. I liked, you know, the glamour and the pageantry as it is. And then when it was coming into college time, I was lucky enough to get a full scholarship to Morgan. And so that was cool. But I was like, well, I know I want to go to grad school. So let me do something to get myself some scholarship money for grad school. That's what the Miss America pageant is. So I'm going to go do that. And so that's what I did. So that's what got me into it. And it was quite a ride. It's a journey that stays with me even now also. And maybe,
really? Okay. So are you still interacting with them year round? Like you attend the Miss Maryland pageants? Do they have you come back?
Yeah, I was working with them for several years, directing one of the local pageants. That was Miss Free State and Miss Potomac. And then by the second child, I was like, yeah, so I'm going to sit back. And then I and I went to the pageants annually. They would have, the Miss Marylands kind of walk up and say hello, that sort of thing. And then, I had my third child. When was she born? I don't know, girl. I had a baby, and I haven't going. I wasn't like going as many places for that, but we do stay in touch because the Rush family was very dear to me. They were like a second and like other half of a first family to me, even like during my reign, and we stayed connected after that. So
Nice.
I've remained in touch with them. They're great people.
Have you been a judge for them?
Not for the state pageant, no. I feel like I judged a pageant some years ago, but things turn into a blur. But I think I did. But I directed for a
record too. We're gonna talk about that too later.
Yeah.
I'm looking you up.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. And I thought it was really cool. I look forward to when, this is over and things are back to being able to gather safely. Now that they have gotten rid of the swimsuit competition, which, that's a whole weed discussion, but it's something that I think is a positive change. And I look forward to seeing the pageant with that not there.
Really interesting. I mean, I'm not against it. But I think that's really interesting that they're taking that out. Is it because of I don't know. They want to make it more not about your body, more about you and your personality?
That's probably the short answer. Now, and I own this as a me thing. The way they tried to distinguish it before as an organization, the Miss America organization, was that like, well, it's not a swimsuit competition, it's lifestyle and fitness. And my issue with that was always that if you want to know about somebody's lifestyle and fitness, you can take their blood pressure. How about you have us do an obstacle course in like real exercise clothes? I have a hard time accepting that that's what it's really about when you have young women parading across the stage in bikinis and heels. And like, obviously I did it, but that took a toll on me. I mean, I already, growing up, even at a very young age, had like weird body image issues. I mean, I say weird, but weird as in when you're in the second grade, you shouldn't be concerned about your thighs spreading. Like,
no,
these are like messages that don't belong in little girls' heads. And and in fact, I started to kind of wrestle with it a little more when I was directing the pageant, and I had invited someone who had become a friend of mine to be a judge, and she was asking me some questions about it. And I think especially about the swimsuit thing was where she just had a struggle that she couldn't reconcile. And she's like, I'm sorry, I just can't. And I was like, I respect that. And then it made me think about it more. And whereas, I had gotten very much used to advocating for and every aspect of the organization, which had given me so much, it was like at the same time, I came around to being like, well, yes, I support and am grateful for these things, but I can't deny that this piece is particularly problematic. It doesn't mean that there's nothing else problematic with it, but that was the time that I was like, I honestly think that it's not what they say it's about, and it causes problems. I mean, and they can feel good to like strut around and feel like, cute and own like, your sexuality, feel sexy and be proud of that. That's cool. I also think that every woman of every body type should feel entitled to that same joy. And in the Miss America organization, it was not. So I'm glad that it's not there anymore.
That's awesome. You're incredible.
Oh.
You really are. I mean, like, all the different things that you've done in your life and all the different layers when it comes to music and your different experiences, from Morgan State to Shenandoah to Barbershop to Miss Maryland, like you've done so much already within your life. And I'm just like, what you got next? What you got next? What you got
Well,
next? It's just
hopefully,
amazing.
things. Thanks, Ashley. I mean, it means a lot coming from you. You're amazing with like all the things that you do. Triple threat, doing your thing, your whole
I
life.
try.
And so, yeah, I mean, we get, I think I have been of the mind and habit to think so much about like what's next. And like when you're a performer, like you're kind of wired to think that way because, you know, you're living gig life. And
Right.
always
Yes.
about,
So
like,
what do you do? What do you do next? What do you come up with? What different creative things can you do now that we have to stay home? We have to be in the house. We can't make any interaction with other people. So I'm all about, going live and talking to people and
yeah,
making them comfortable at home, give them something, some type of joy, inspiration. I'm also singing for some churches as well, just
that's wonderful, Ashley.
Zoom and viral, just like, hey, I just want to spread some joy and inspiration and touch people because this is a hard time right now. So I said, hey, you
Mhm.
don't have to pay me anything. Don't pay me anything. I just want to come on and sing for you guys.
That's beautiful. And
And
that's
spread.
why God's gonna bless you, okay? Uh, it's gonna rain down on you. But I mean that's the spirit of it, right? Where it's just like instead of coming at it from a place of fear, which is
Mm-hmm.
like, fear is it's real, and we're pretty much all scared. And if you're not scared, you might not be looking. But it's weird. But
Can I get a little some of what you have if you're not?
yeah, exactly. Pass that on. But we can't love from fear. We can't
Yeah.
give joy out of our fear. We can't create out of our fear. Well, I mean, you can, but what comes out isn't nearly so beautiful as what comes out from a place of love. And
Yeah.
and it's like, when I started to relax out of like what am I going to do? And what is going to happen? How am I going to like navigate things and just sit into what is and let what manifests as truth like in me and in others like merge and like things like what you're doing, like we adapt and we find ways to connect and make these things come to life. And it's a beautiful thing about humanity, which we maybe sometimes, I know I can tend to forget at times, like, why is everything garbage? But like, no, I do believe that like we are all created manifestations of the same beauty. And if we just embrace and trust that, we'll come out on the other side.
I'm gonna end it on that note. That was nice. That's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah, that's perfect.
Thanks. You certainly brought me joy today. I got to get my face and I get to talk to somebody.
I gotta beat my face today. I gotta beat my face today.
Yeah, I was like getting that bed, not playing.
Mm-hmm. I was probably gonna be like, where are you going? Facebook. Instagram.
Where everybody knows my name.
Right. But thank you so much for coming on today and discussing Halo, real and race and real talk, and your experience with Miss Maryland. And wow, I didn't know your full story as to how you got into barbershop, but I mean, it's just a glorious story for you to share. And I'm like, you had Richard Llewellyn. Like, not everybody knows, but Richard Llewellyn, like, he's big in barbershop.
Girl, I know. I didn't know until like a year and a half after we went. I was like, thank you.
Yes, like my quartet has Michael Gellert, and I think sometimes you don't realize, what we have sometimes, and sometimes that can be taken a little bit for granted because, I mean, he's an arranger, and he's just grateful at making us whatever ask him to, like, hey, can you arrange this? Hey, can you arrange that? Hey, can you do this?
Beautiful person. Beautiful.
And And you know, his wife's in my quartet, which makes it even greater. So he coaches us all the time. He's always like, just let me know. And he just, you know, shows up and gives us all and all his energy. I know you guys work with him too. Like
He's wonderful.
he's incredible. Just working with really giving people through this organization, I think is a beautiful thing. And I know through Halo and with me, we're all trying to share that with the world. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring you on so we could talk about you, share your joys and what you guys have been doing, and share with the people on my page, like, this thing is serious. Like, this is huge. This is big. Halo is big. Don't sleep on it. And everybody's been liking your videos too. Like, I love Jasmine. Jasmine's amazing. Basically, like, copy off of. Like, I don't know, especially since she sings jazz. That last scat she did at the end of Sir Duke, I was just like, dude, y'all gotta hear this.
Post run.
That post run is amazing.
Yeah.
But thank you again for coming on. This
Thanks
was
so
really
much for
fun.
having me. It was a lot of fun.
We're gonna do this more often.
Yes, absolutely. All right, girl. I'll see you next time.
All right, see ya. Bye, everybody. Thank you for joining
Bye,
in.
y'all.